Your Majesty at your service. Welcome to Fairyqueen Talks. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my podcast, Reset and Restart. Welcome to Season 4 of the Fairyqueen Talks podcast. If you are a Season 1 listener, you may have noticed that it's been over 2 years since I published a recording of this amazing podcast. As much as I started this podcast to have a creative outlet and help navigate those who wanted to listen through lockdown and generally the world in 2020 up to 2021, I personally similarly needed to be guided into my personal happily ever after. On this episode, I'll be discussing my experience of being reset and restarting from a mental health perspective in relation to what I perceived was getting to my happily ever after stage, with the purpose of sharing my thoughts on why it's important to have moments in your life where you intentionally pause to sit, reflect, and do whatever is necessary to get back into the swing of your life. After my 29th birthday in 2021, I knew that I was heading towards the milestone year of my life, the big 3-0. Like some people, for a long time, envisioned what my life would look like when I was 30 years old. In so much that every decision I had made consciously and intentionally since the age of 18 was meant to contribute to that life. So, in a nutshell, what did my life look like when I turned 30? So, my vision was that I would be married, I would be a mother, I would own a property, I would be in a dream job, I would be super fit and healthy, and most importantly, I would be happy. A simple request, right? I only had 12 years to achieve all of that. When I was in my 29th year, my life choices had resulted in me achieving most of that. In year 29, I was able to complete my first home purchase of my current home with my husband, and I was ready to be more committed to being super fit and healthy. Technically, I was able to achieve what I set out to do before the age of 30, and that only meant that I got to my finish line quicker than anticipated, meaning that I could truly enter my happily ever after phase, knowing that all of my life challenges were worth it. I was so ready for 2022. I was getting to my finish line. I was so close. And then it all stopped. In the midst of trying to manage my mortgage madness, which may be an episode in itself, trying to manage my fitness, family, and life, and general career, I experienced COVID, which led me to being isolated for 2 weeks because I was too sick to be around my family. My head of department at the time, in a meeting, because I wanted to work through it all, said in a very loving but firm way that I needed to log off and come back when I was better. I mentally couldn't cope with being told to log off. I was and always have been the type of person who did not or does not take sick leave. I wasn't a person that would just lay in bed and not do anything for 2 weeks. I had a life to live, a family to love, goals to achieve, and I was being told that I had to stay away from my world. Even though I wasn't well and struggled being alone and sick for 2 weeks while listening to the voices of my family, yet not being able to participate in everyday life in lockdown experiences. This led me to feeling removed and isolated, but most definitely motivated to come back. Little did I know that as I recovered from the COVID-19 symptoms, I entered to what I now understand and accept to be a mental illness. Many things are out of my control, and my mind happened, which led me to having to leave my home for a period of time. And with the support of the NHS, which for those who don't live in the UK is a National Health Service, friends and family, I was able to return to my home and start my recovery so that I could return back to my life. So when I speak about resetting and restarting, I'm talking about my experience in the last 2 years where my mind, my brain had to shut down due to mental illness. And I had to be repaired and receive a lot of tools through therapy to be able to restart my life independently. I do not claim to be fully healed, as I'm very much aware that healing is a lifelong process. However, I'm in the phase of my recovery where I have a clearer understanding of who I am as a person and have been able to work through and still, in many ways, am working through traumas and fears that have negatively impacted my ability to truly enjoy the present moments. I'm in a place of my recovery that I can and have the ability to be in the present moment, look forward to my future, and allow myself to enjoy the day and make sense of my emotions. I'm currently in a place in my recovery where I have more control over my mind and therefore have a stronger ability to manage my life and respond to emotions healthily. I'm in a place of my recovery which allows me to know which parts of me and my life I want to restart and which areas I need to repair. So, just like a computer or a phone, mental illness is like a virus that destroys all the applications and functionality of our brains. So much so that a shutdown or reset is necessary. Just like great tech wizards, there are medical professionals trained to be able to diagnose the virus and help restore your mind using a number of different techniques. Just like a computer and phones, sometimes the repair we need is superficial, and then other times it needs to be a whole new rehaul. As much as getting a new device and repair the original chips only. In my case, my whole mind needed rewiring, which forced me to examine and work through everything that had led me to being 29. I'm now 31 and feeling accomplished and that happiness that I was waiting for at 30, realizing that I already had my happiness. I already had a home, a family, the love of my life, the dream job that truly wasn't about the job, but more so that the job allowed me to have a dream life, the life that I worked so hard for. I had everything I needed to live happily ever after. Because being happy is much more so about your perspective opposed to your ability to achieve your goals. It's about being happy at every stage of your life, having that hope and motivation to move forward, and knowing and doing the things that make you happy. Although I had an extreme experience of being reset in terms of my mind, I think it's healthy to periodically check yourself and ultimately allow yourself to have mini resets and restarts. So, what do I mean by this? Pauses and mini resets could be defined as moments where you take the time to allow yourself to step out of your life and reflect on your life story, understanding the scene or chapter you're about to enter or already in, making sense of the other characters and environments in your life, and envision what you need during this time to help you get through it. You can take these pauses and mini resets anytime you start to feel overwhelmed with different aspects of your life. So, what do you ask yourself during these mini resets? What is expected of me? How am I feeling? What could make this situation better? Now you've asked yourself these questions, go and make the situation better for yourself. You can and have the power to make or see things for your benefit. The reason that you can do this any time of the day because you deserve to end your days at a very happy note. You deserve to go to bed each day feeling at peace within yourself and look forward to rest your mind. So, resetting and pausing is one thing. Both allow you to reflect and think things through. Restarting is more so about beginning or igniting good things that make you happy. Something as simple as seeing the sunrise each morning is something that you can do to restart in your life. So, as I have restarted myself doing this podcast and being your weekly Fairy Queen of season 4 of Fairy Queen Talks, this is what I'm asking of you. Is there anything in your life you need to reset or restart? Will you take a moment out of your life to ask yourself the necessary questions? Will you wait for your mind to shut down by mental health? Or can you proactively take the time to pause so that you can repair and restart? At the end of each episode, I address the queendom. Looking after your mental health is essential if you want to be able to enjoy achieving your goals. Doing this episode and generally starting the season has been a way of restarting something I love and brings me happiness. I hope that you will take the time to hit pause and have a mini reset regularly. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my podcast, Fairy Queen Talks. See you next time.